Yeah, for those who are actually willing to learn British English or attempting to, improve the pronunciation of the language, well, this is the opportunity. I've actually attempted to create this particular event in order to help students, pupils, teachers, and individuals who attempt to improve their language skills. But I haven't had the opportunity to do that. But of course, now is the time, and now there's a privileged opportunity that each and every student can actually partake on this particular quest in order to improve their language skills, pronunciation, reading comprehension, and of course writing skills. These, I believe, are the core problems or dilemma of each and every person that is in dire need of the language itself, depending on individual preferences as to what one wants to learn and how or for what reason. Well, that actually does, inevitably vary. But of course, it's a collective, problem, and I'm here to actually help each and every person, go through their problems and possibly find, a path that can actually pave the possibility of, hovering around that problem and, making it much more, comfortable for students, and anyone for that matter. So, especially for those actually trying to improve, their language skills, it's not actually much of a problem if you are learning English language and you want to learn the language properly. Now, one of the criteria, though, I do believe it's, a major, factor in learning the British English is that you cannot learn language. Let me repeat this if no one is watching this. You have the opportunity to get this. You should know that if you want to learn any language, the most important criteria or factor to consider, put in mind, is the fact that the skills can only be achieved in spoken language and not writing. Most people do have, contents where they talk about classes where you have rules and regulations written and you write lots and lots of notes. You can't learn a language anywhere without speaking. The emphasis has to be laid upon the spoken language. That's the only way you can actually improve your skills in learning that particular language you're in dire need of, and not in terms of writing. Writing does not actually help you in any way. You can actually, let me give an example. You want to learn how to actually speak, or let's say you want to learn how to play snooker, and you have someone actually teaching you how to play snooker, but you have the person doing the shots and you are watching. Now, let's assume the person does that for 6 months. The question remains, have you learned anything in terms of practicals? You actually haven't, because you only watch. So for you to actually learn something, you have to actually do it yourself. So it should be more or less 80% or 85% speaking and 15% writing. And that writing should specifically be upon how to rectify your problems while speaking, and nothing more than that. So I think if there's lots of you out there that don't have the opportunity to learn from me, and you've opportune to lay upon your hand upon this video, well, I think you should use this, and practicalize your efforts in learning the language by, speaking more and writing less. That's the most important, component, factor in learning the English language, and a most proportionate level, to be candid. So I think it's an opportunity for each and every person to come over and learn the language as we teach